got some stuff to talk about. Hit that like button. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We have a great time over here. You meant what you said when you said it. Really be expect, because I'll be understanding y'all sometimes. And when y'all know when I say y'all, you know I ain't talking about y'all. You know I'm talking about y'all. Convince me that all these people that got something to say have been actively involved in the political process in their world. I don't believe it. You ain't gonna convince me. I know y'all love me. Let's get into what's up, y'all? Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Oh, I forgot about the Luther doc, too. Dang, I'm going to have to tape it. Dang, I forgot all about it, y'all. So, y'all, I'm still trying to figure out how to get my intro added. I'm going to work it out. Somebody going to help me with the technical difficulties. But welcome. We got a new intro for the new year, honey. And, child, I got my notes for this situation, but it's out of order. My apologies, child. The thing is out of order. So we're going to talk about this Girls Gone Wild situation. Let me explain something to y'all. Did I get a package? I didn't. Would it be in my mailbox? What's it called? Never Too Much. Would it be in my mailbox? Because I didn't see anything. But anyway, welcome, you guys. Let's go ahead and get into it. So this is going to be our review of Girls Gone Wild, the documentary on Peacock. What's it called? Never Too Much, right? I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I'm really not all that interested in seeing it. But I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna record it, see what they talking about. Is it never too much? Oh, there it is right there, Luther, Never Too Much. Hold on, y'all. Let me record it. All right, it's coming on again at 11 o'clock. I'll record it for the 11 o'clock one. It's going to be on OWN. So, okay. My home, I think. Yeah, it might be in my mail. Is it small enough to fit in my mailbox? Because if it's small enough to fit in my mailbox, it'll be in my mailbox. But I didn't see a package when I got home today. But I'll be on the lookout for it, Star. Thank you so much. I'll be on the lookout for it. Okay. So the documentary over on Peacock on Girls Gone Wild. First of all, let me say something. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I went back and forth on certain things as it relates to this documentary. I definitely recommend it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably put it at a 9. Yeah. Because one, they were able to get his participation. They asked him to do a follow-up, and he didn't want to do a follow-up, but they were able to actually have. So you heard his voice, you heard his words. So I think that's always a plus in a documentary when the person that you're talking about is a participant. We talked to actual people who were there, people who worked for him, lawyers, prosecutors, police officers, and of course there were victims who also participated. I do feel like we could have had another episode, and this is where for the people who For the people who don't care that much about the legalities of stuff, they probably were okay with the 3 episodes. But I feel like by the 3rd episode, they sort of rushed through all of his legal issues. But I think it gave you enough. It gave you enough to get the point. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mama-in-law Yana. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the tribe. All right. So, yeah, I think they sort of rushed through. It was kind of like he was untouchable. Nothing stuck to him. Every lawsuit failed. And then it was like, he's in jail. And it was like, wait, whoa. But I do feel like they got to that. And I understand that the average person probably doesn't want to get caught up in the minutia, but I think they went sort of fast. Also the thing I don't think they really gave us a good explanation of, and they may not know, how has he been able to live this lavish lifestyle for 10 years? Like, I know he was making a lot of money, but he also left a mess. So let's get into it. Before I go too deep into it, let me go through my notes. And as you can see, I have about 6 pages of notes, y'all. And they are out of order, so bear with me. I was using like a steno pad when you flip the pages over, and they got out of order, so I apologize. So the documentary is it's a 3-part documentary, so it's not too bad, right? No love. You know, we are definitely keeping you in the city of New Orleans in prayer. Houston, Las Vegas. You guys, I don't want to get too caught up in that. But you guys, keep your head on a swivel. Be very careful and keep your head on a swivel. That's all I can say. So Girls Gone Wild. The documentary starts off with them interviewing Joe Francis. Joe Francis is the creator of the Girls Gone Wild series. He lives in a 45,000 square foot compound in Mexico, and he has lived there for the last 10 years. He left after he was sentenced to do 200 days in jail for a assault case. And one of the lawyers at the end of this documentary said the same thing I said at the beginning of this documentary. There had to be more to this story because nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but I mean, his level of narcissism may not have been able to really wrap his brain around this, but for him to say, I'm going to leave the country, leave everything behind, leave my business, leave this, leave that, for basically a couple of months in the county jail was weird to me. It was just weird to me. I think it's more to the story. And then one of the attorneys said the same thing, but he was convicted of an assault, and he was sentenced to less than a year in jail. Sorry, y'all. I was doing fine until I started doing all this talking. I might need to go get some water. I forgot to get water before I started. Sorry. So Joe Francis tells this rags to riches story. He talks about how poor he was growing up, how he had to sleep on his parents' couch in the living room because they didn't have enough space for him, how his dad worked like, a menial job. And he just, he had to get a job at the age of 14 to help pay the bills in the house. He was a paper boy, and then he did this and did that. Now, what the reporter said is that they have not been able to confirm any of that. What they do know is that he grew up in a pretty affluent house. His dad made good money, and he grew up in Laguna Beach. Excuse me. I don't, everything I've heard about Laguna Beach is that it's a pretty affluent area. I mean, I guess like everything, there's an up and there's a downside, but I ain't never heard of no downside to Laguna Beach, but maybe it is. But by all accounts, he grew up rich. Sounds like some Donald Trump shit, right? He went to USC, where he started working for a company called Real TV. And what Real TV was where people would, yes, he was horrible to his parents. We're going to get to that later on, Amber. Yes. Right. He fled, like, yeah, I think it was more to it. I think it might have been more coming down the pipe that he knew. I don't know. But it definitely feels like there's more to this. But moving on. And I honestly did not. I mean, I knew I'd stopped hearing his name so much, but I didn't know he was a fugitive. I didn't know he was living in Mexico all these years as a fugitive. I did not know that. I knew he had a house in Mexico because I remember when the Kardashians and stuff used to go down there, but I did not know that. It's on Peacock. It's on Peacock. So now reality TV, or I mean, it was Real TV was like the first reality TV show. It was like the precursor to America's Funniest Home Videos, where people would send in real VHS. Remember back in the day with camcorders, they would send real stuff in, and this TV show would splice it all together and make it a TV show. And I think I remember that show. I really feel like, isn't that the show with Byron, the billionaire that owns everything now, that owns the Weather Channel? Who's the guy, y'all, the billionaire that owns the Weather Channel? Byron Allen, thank you. Remember Byron Allen was on that show? I don't know if it was called Real. It was like called Real People or something like that. But it was the same type of show. Thank y'all, Byron Allen. But it was the same type of show. So anyway, what happened was Joe Francis was working there. And a lot of the footage that they couldn't put on television, like a really bad car accidents, or maybe, you know, more risque type stuff, or grotesque things, blood and all of that. That's the kind of stuff they couldn't use. You remember Real People? Okay, you know what I'm talking about. They wouldn't use any of that, and that footage would just end up like on the cutting room floor. So yeah, it had Byron Allen, and it also had my girl that played Kizzy on Roots, the original Roots. Oh shoot, her name was just on the tip of my tongue. Y'all know who I'm talking about. She played Kizzy. Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to look it up. I see her face. But anyway, so what he started doing was he took all of that footage that they couldn't use. Leslie Uggams, thank you. Thank you. He took all of that footage, he put it together in a VHS tape, and he sold it direct to home video. By the age of 24, he was a millionaire. Excuse me. So in 1998, he had gone down to Mardi Gras, or he saw a video of women at Mardi Gras. I'm going to go get some water in a second, y'all. I was fine until literally, like, I was not doing all of this coughing. Until literally I went live. But I need some water, not this soda. So when he saw the women, y'all know Mardi Gras, you get your beads. How could he sell that footage legally? That's a good question, Marnie. I don't know. I don't know if he bought it from the television station, or if because it was on the cutting room floor, they didn't care because they weren't going to use it anyway. I honestly don't know. That was a question I had, but they really didn't explain it. But he did it. He got away with it, you know. So he got the idea of Girls Gone Wild from the Mardi Gras girls who would pull up their shirts, flash their boobs to get the beads. He was like, oh, okay. So he started a new company, and he created his first Girls Gone Wild videos, which of course is the girls, you know, showing off their boobs, yada, yada, yada. And of course he couldn't sell it on regular television, so he had to sell it again, he couldn't even show the commercials on regular television because it was so risque. So he linked up with Howard Stern. And he started selling it through Howard Stern. See, they're going to Ebby yelling at me again. Hold on. Damn. They're going to Ebby yelling at me again. Hold on, y'all. Let me go get some water. I got more water. All right. Happy New Year, everybody that's coming in. Thank you. Okay. All right. So he started a new company. Like I said, he linked up with Howard Stern for the ad space because, of course, Howard Stern's whole show was based off of the raunchy and this, that, and the other. And of course, it blew up. Now, here's what I need y'all to do for me. And I know some of y'all are younger, some of y'all are older. The people that are older are going to get it. The younger people, I need y'all to work with me on this, okay? We're talking about 1998. There's no internet as we know it today. The internet existed, but most of us did not have it in our homes, okay? We certainly did not have smartphones where we could just get on our phone and pull up, Pornhub, okay? People were still watching DVDs. People were still watching VHS tapes. Matter of fact, I don't even know if DVDs were coming on. When did DVDs start becoming popular? I know they existed, but when did they start becoming popular? In 1998, it still might have been VHS tapes. We still might have been going down to the Blockbuster every Friday night to get some videos, okay? No, DVDs were because 1998, yeah, DVDs. So VHS and DVDs was still a thing, right? So for my younger people, I need y'all to move away. Okay, that was more than 2000s. Okay. For the younger people, I need y'all to envision a world where if you wanted to watch, some porn, you had to actually go to a video store, an adult video store to get it, or you could go rent it. Okay? But the idea that you can get a video with a bunch of women showing their boobs mailed directly to your house, that was a novel concept. Maybe I need to put a cough drop in my mouth. But then I would have to talk around the cough drop. I don't know, Abby, all of a sudden my throat just got dry. Hey, sassy girl, 59. Happy New Year to you. So imagine, you an 18-year-old, 20-year-old guy, and you're up late at night because the commercials came on late night. And you're up late at night and you see this commercial for Girls Gone Wild, and you see this blue. Right, you have real sex on Showtime, and you had all of these different things, but it was not as accessible as it is today, where you can just go on your phone and you can type it in, and you can go onto the website, and boom, it's right there in your face. And you certainly didn't have the types of videos and access that we have today, right? He said that he created the first reality TV. And I'm not going to say he created it, but he definitely was a pioneer. I mean, I can't take that from him. Definitely was a pioneer. Okay. Cinemax absolutely was. Absolutely was. Okay. Okay. So, Girls Gone Wild blew up in its first year. It made $20 million. And again, I want y'all to remember 1998, $20 million. He was 25 years old. Okay. Okay. Let me put that over here. So we meet one of our first victims. Okay. Her name was, I think, Trina, something like that. I didn't write her name down. I'm sorry. I knew how old this was when she said the Zima was flowing. I said, not the Zima. Put a one in the chat if you remember Zima, child. I remember Red Shoe Diaries too, honey. Put a one in the chat if y'all remember Zima, child. Yes. So when she said Zima, I knew. I said, oh, you want to talk about a time machine. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. This first victim, okay, I went back and forth as I was watching this documentary because let me say this. The first victim that we run into is underage, which is the whole point. She's underage. But she was talking about it's high school. She was on spring break. The Zima was flowing. She was with her friends. They went like away for the week or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, and she said she was a freshman in high school at the time. And I was like, and again, I'm not blaming her for what happened to her, but in my mind, I'm like, so as a freshman in high school, your parents just let you go away for the week with a bunch of juniors and seniors? Okay, girl. So she was saying how she literally was drunk, right? She said she was drunk, and some guys walked up to her and basically was like, "You want to make $100?" And she was like, "Sure." And they were like, just lift up your shirt and we'll give you $100. And no, she said, no, rewind. It was not $100. It was beads. Because she said that the popular girls were getting all of the beads. So they were like, well, if you lift up your shirt, we'll give you some beads. Now, she said she saw the guy with the camera, but she thought he was just some pervert that, was just walking around the beach. She was like, she didn't think it was going to be on a show. So she said she did it. She was like, she was 14 years old. She was drunk. Yeah, she did it. She did not know what they were filming. It wasn't until she went back to school and all of a sudden the whispers started happening. Well, come to find out, somebody had got a hold of the tape and they saw her. And she was like, I didn't even know what Girls Gone Wild was. So when the kids were asking me, hey, was that you? That was you? She was like, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. And she was actually, I think she was even actually on the cover or she was in it. But she said, and I said, eat a spoonful of honey. I don't even know if I have any honey in there. Okay. Thank you, boo. So I was like, because I had some, she was on the cover. Okay. Yeah, I had some honey. I might be out, child. But okay, because y'all know I've been drinking tea nonstop. So she said a teacher actually came up to her and asked her to sign the box. It lets you understand the culture that a teacher, not that the teacher walked up to her and said, "Oh my gosh, you're on this video. Let's get you to the counselor. Let's call your parents. Let's do this. Let's do that." It was, "Can you sign this box for me?" Which means that the teacher had seen her boobs, which means that the teacher knew she was 14, 15 years old. Like, the teacher need to be in jail. Now, again, the whole time she's telling her story, I never heard her reference her parents. That doesn't mean they weren't there. That doesn't mean they weren't around. But she never referenced her parents. She said, because I even wrote in my notes, what the F, next to the teacher asked her to sign the box. She said she stopped going to school and she eventually talked to a lawyer. So again, she didn't say my parents got a lawyer or my parents took me to get a lawyer. She was like, I talked to a lawyer. So again, at no point in this story did she talk about her parents and their feelings or reactions to any of this. But she said once she talked to an attorney told her that basically they could file a lawsuit against them for child porn. She said she did get a small settlement and they did take her out of that video. The problem is, much like the internet, once it's out there, it's out there. So if you already had a copy of the tape before they took her out of, any new tapes, you still have it. It's not like they went door to door and confiscated tapes of people who already bought it. You know what I'm saying? But she did. So that was the first lawsuit. And she said she got a small settlement. We don't know what it is. Of course, they're not going to disclose the amount. And she was able to get herself taken out. Now, for me, where I'm sitting, in my mind, I'm thinking, why didn't... To me, that should have raised a red flag right then. You couldn't think she was the only underage girl. You know what I'm saying? I understand, Cheryl, that kids can't consent to representation. I just thought it was interesting that she never talked about her parents. And again, that might have been by design. So I was just like, it just seemed to me like that didn't raise a red flag for somebody to be like, hold up. If there was one, there's probably more. But okay. So then we flip to, like I said, they actually interviewed Joe Francis. So I wrote these quotes from Joe Francis just to let you know how much of an asshole this man was. So this is a quote. And I wrote these as quotes. There's no difference between a 17 and an 18-year-old other than 18 is legal and 17 isn't. He also said, you can't hold me responsible for what one of my workers did. And then he compared it to Steve Jobs being responsible for what one of his Amazon drivers did. Well, guess what? If you're driving for Amazon and you do something you're not supposed to do, people can sue Amazon. Like, I was like, that's not a good example, sir. Amazon can get sued. And Steve Jobs owns Amazon, therefore, hello. So those are some actual quotes. So then we meet Troy Robin, who is the vice president of sales from 2002 to 2005. When he came to the Girls Gone Wild company, I mean, did I say Steve Jobs? Y'all know who I'm talking about. The person that owned Amazon, child. That's what I mean. I said Steve Jobs. That's Apple. He used the right name. I used the wrong name, Cindy. He used the right name. I said Steve Jobs. But y'all know the guy that owned Amazon, child. Him. Okay. So I always say Steve Jobs. I don't know why I do that. I always say Steve Jobs. But he said the right name. I said the wrong name. Anyway. So he set up the Girls Gone Wild. Jeff, thank you. Jeff Bezos. Thank you. He set up the Girls Gone Wild like Columbia House back in the day. Do y'all remember Columbia House? Again, These y'all got for my people that were there. Who got all them CDs and who got them free CDs off of Columbia House? I know I did. Okay. So for those who don't remember Columbia House or don't understand what Columbia House is, this is how Columbia House worked. Columbia House worked like this. They would have this advertisement in the magazines or whatever where you could get 12 cassettes or 12 CDs for a penny. So a lot of us did it. We put that little penny. They even had a little thing where you could take the penny to the little piece of paper. They had the envelope. You put it in the envelope and you mail it back, right? And you gave them, your address, your name, and all of that. Now, back then, everybody didn't have debit cards. Everybody didn't have debit cards. So it was COD, cash on delivery, right? So you sent off your little penny and you get your little CDs back. But what happened was you would get 12 CDs for a penny. But then after that, you were obligated to buy a certain number of CDs after that to fulfill your little contract. And they would send them to you once a month, automatic. They would send them to you once a month. And then they would bill you. And then the CDs, they were like $20 CDs that you could go to the store and get for $11.99. But they charged you $21. But now you already in. Now you in. So he set up the Girls Gone Wild like that, where you would get like your first 2 DVDs or CDs or whatever would be free. Or they would be like, not free. They'd be like, you would get the first 2 for $9.99. But then you would be a part of a monthly subscription where they would charge your credit card once a month. So, of course, with a payment set up like that, people are going to automatically, right, debate and switch. Yep. So people are going to sign up. Oh, I get 2 for $9.99. But now you're on the hook and they're going to charge you $30 or however much it was once a month after that. Okay. He said basically doing that, he tripled sales. So by this time he had to stop doing third party. Doing third party production. Like he no longer was accepting because of that lawsuit. Quiet as kept and loud as it is, me either, Amber. But as a result of that first lawsuit I talked about, he could no longer take like contracting work. People had to actually be working for him to cut out the liability of people sending him footage of that were underage or people didn't give consent or whatever. So now this is where we start seeing the Girls Gone Wild buses, right? This is where you start seeing the buses. He had 3 buses and he had a pilot and a private jet, and he would basically fly all over the country to wherever spring break was. Now, one of the ladies that interviewed, her name was Solo. She was like, yeah, we didn't go places like major metropolitan areas because, people there were a little more savvy. We went to, the Daytona beaches or the Myrtle beaches or the Panama City, which we're going to get to Panama City. Because, now, this is one of those situations where racism worked in our favor. Racism worked in our favor, y'all. This is one of them times when racism worked for us because we were not his idea of beautiful. He was looking for his idea of beautiful. White, blonde, skinny, and young. That's what he was looking for. That's what he was looking for. So I'm not going to say there were no black girls on any of these videos, but it looked like 90% of them want us. And we were not what he was looking for. We were not his idea of beautiful. Okay? Now, nobody came right out and said that. Well, you're and drunk. You're right, and drunk. Sometimes rejection is God's protection. You better say it again for the people in the back. They weren't at Black College weekend. I was just naming out beaches, y'all. But yeah, you know they weren't at Black. Hell no. When I said Daytona Beach, I already was thinking, you know, they wasn't there that weekend. They might have been there, but they wasn't there that weekend. Okay. So Trista, that's what her name is, Trista. Okay. So in 2002, Girls Gone Wild had extended outside of just, hey, what's up, TC? Happy New Year, Star. They had expanded beyond just girls flashing themselves. They now were doing celebrity events. They were doing parties. They were doing they had celebrity endorsements. They had the merch. They showed the celebrities wearing the merch and doing all these different things, right? And they were now sort of stepping their foot into porn, PORN, where they were actually filming scenes with girls, okay? They talked to a girl named Trista. She was in Cancun. She was there for the MTV TRL. Again, if you guys remember when MTV used to do spring break and they would go to these different places. So she said, you know, her and her friends went down to Cancun. She said again, they would give verbal consent, right? They would say, hey, do you want to show us your boobs? And the girls would say, yeah. And that was the consent. And they had it on tape. But again, what we know today is, can a drunk person really give consent, right? And most of these girls were drunk, okay? Okay. So there was a lawsuit filed. Attorney Todd Julian filed a lawsuit in 2002. And they said that the judge declared that there is no expectation of privacy when you flash your boobs in public, which I could kind of understand that thought process, right? Especially in today's society. Would we, at this point, you shouldn't have an expectation of privacy of anything out in the public. There are cameras everywhere. People have their phones. But certainly in 2002, that was still a new concept. So the judge was like, listen, even though you may not have understood what you were giving permission for, because you say that, you know, you didn't know it was going to be in this video, you still were in a public place flashing your boobs in front of thousands of people. So that lawsuit got thrown out. Also, the judge said because these girls weren't celebrities, they couldn't really put a monetary value on the damage to their reputation because they didn't have a public reputation. Because they weren't celebrities, they weren't famous. It was kind of like, how do I put a monetary value on what you lost? Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to read my own notes. Okay, that page is done. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. I told y'all my notes got out of order, so I apologize. That's part 3. Okay. Okay. I think this is the last page of part 1. Okay. Yeah, this is the last page of part 1. Yeah. So here's another quote from Joe Francis. Another quote. Hey, what's up, mother? Another quote of Joe Francis said, girls love to tease. It's the nature of a girl. They were trained, the cameramen were trained to be aggressive and be persistent. Every lawsuit that was filed against, and let's be clear, people did sue. People did sue. I don't want y'all to think people didn't sue. But every lawsuit that was filed against Joe, he won. So he started feeling like he was Teflon. He started feeling like, Happy New Year, Fedora. Happy New Year, everybody coming in. So he started feeling like he was Teflon, right? Like, nothing's going to stick to me. Nothing's going to stick to me. Until he got to Panama City. Now, let me tell y'all something. If y'all want to see some funny stuff, y'all wait till y'all get to the sheriff from Panama City. He's an older white guy. He looked like every stereotype of a sheriff from a small town in the South. Okay? He got the beard, got the cowboy hat, he got the thick accent. He said, Joe Francis is a scrawny ass piece of shit. He said, I didn't give a rat's ass what he did in the privacy of his own home. He said, but when he came to my city, and once he did it out in public, well, now it's my business. I said, listen, he cussed. When I tell you, he talked about that man like a dog. And again, once again, y'all, the sheriff probably didn't like us either. But we ain't here to talk about that. We talking about him, okay? Now, he went down to Panama City for spring break, and here's where he got in trouble. He was filming actual scenes. Remember, I told y'all he started filming scenes, right? And there was a set where he filmed. Well, the first year he went to spring break, everything went whatever. It's when he came back that was the problem. Oh, I'm sure that sheriff don't like us either. Let's be clear. But we ain't talking about that tonight. I don't know that man, but I'm sure. Here again is an example of what, like with the teacher. One of the girls came out one night running, screaming for the police, basically said that they were trying to make her do some stuff against her will. She said that the police asked for a copy. The cameraman was like, oh, the police asked for a copy. And laughed. I said, okay. Lee Sullivan, that was his name, chief of police, and then he became the mayor, chap. So here's what happened. The chief started following him around, harassing him, harassing his cameraman. And they were like, look, you can't do this to us. Like, we are here minding our business, doing our thing. We're not bothering you. We're not breaking any laws. You can't just be following us around and harassing us. So they filed a restraining order. Joe Francis got his lawyers to file a restraining order against the sheriff and the police department. What would he do that for? What did he do that for? So there was a night where they were filming one of their scenes. It was 4 girls. 2 of the girls got in the shower, filming a scene. Joe Francis came and took 2 of the other girls into his room. Later on that night, the girls left. They paid them. I think they paid them $100 a piece. The girls left, went on about their business. Well, the next day, I guess once them girls sobered up and realized what they had done, they told their parents. They confessed to their parents. So the parent went to the chief of police, Lee Sullivan, and told them what happened. Because here's the problem. I know, Cahoots, we already cleared it up, boo. You behind in the chat. I know, we got it. We got it. Jeff Bezos. Excuse me, y'all. Well, here's the problem with those 4 girls. All of them were minors. They were 16 and 17 years old. So technically, everything that had happened that night was with the minor. Here's where Panama City went wrong. Panama City went and got warrants. They raided the hotel rooms. They took all of the videos. They took all of the evidence. They arrested everybody. They arrested the pilot. They arrested everybody. Took everybody into custody. And they were trying to charge them with the RICO. The problem is they really overcharged because they really wanted to get him. So they really overcharged him because they tried to turn it into a RICO case, which we know a RICO case is really, really hard. Hey, Cajun Boo, is a really, really hard case to make. We know that. So, here's what Joe Francis did. Baby, why did Joe Francis start selling? Because they had copies of everything that the police had confiscated. Baby, why he started selling those tapes as the confiscated tapes? Here are the tapes that the police don't want you to see. Here's what the police don't want you to see. That's how arrogant this man was. He is literally in the middle of a RICO case, and he is selling the very videos that are a part of his RICO case. Now, they ended up finding out that there were over 30 minors on those tapes. Over 30 minors. Once they started watching the tapes and tracking down those women, over 30 minors. He felt like the girls had set him up. Joe Francis said the girls set him up. He felt like the whole thing was a setup. Here's the problem. He thought everybody was dumb in Florida. He thought they was just a bunch of hicks. He was so much smarter than them. But he started checking IDs after that. Yes, the parents were involved. There was a really sad story. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but I don't want to forget to tell it. One of the girls that was a part of those 4 girls, they didn't participate in the documentary. But one of those girls, her father literally, when she called her father to tell her father that she was on that tape, literally her father had a heart attack and dropped dead while still on the phone with her. And she blamed herself for her father's death. And she is one of the ones whose life sort of went downhill. I think she ended up homeless and some other stuff because she really blamed herself for her father's death. Because literally her father had a heart attack on the call and dropped dead. He said he had over $100 million in legal fees. Now, at first he said it was $300 million, and then he walked it down to $100 million. But again, $100 million, $300 million, that's a lot of damn money on legal fees. Now, well, between the settlements and the legal fees. So here's what happened. Here's why that case in Panama City was not successful. The case in Panama City was not successful because they overcharged him. And what happened was the police, in order to get a warrant to get those tapes, they weren't truthful about how many victims. I think they said that there were more victims than they actually had. And so, you know, we've seen it happen before. You watch Law and Order and stuff. They call it the fruit of the poisonous tree. Yes, they had proof of over 30 women or young girls who were violated once they got the warrant. The problem was they didn't know it was 30 girls until they got the warrant, and they lied on the paperwork to get the warrant. So once they threw out the warrant, they threw out the evidence, and the case fell apart. But what they ended up doing was they filed a civil case, and that's where we heard the testimonies of the 4 girls. That's when we found out about the father. Y'all, the jury, they threw everything out. The jury in the civil trial was all women. You would think that a jury of women would find in favor of these young girls. They did not. They did not. He won the civil case. Now, what happened was they were able to really talk it up as these were 4 promiscuous teenagers that were out getting drunk. So should we reward their bad behavior by making them millionaires? That is how his lawyer argued it. But the attorney brought up a good point. The attorney said they had the wrong jury. They should have had a jury of men who were thinking about their daughters being violated like that. Men would have probably gave them girls that money. But we are our own, and all I could think of was sometimes women are their own worst enemy. Yeah, it was a woman lawyer at that. I was like, we are our own worst enemy sometimes, because we're quick to be like, they was probably fast. What were they doing out at night anyway? Because, like, again, I did it at the beginning. Remember, I told you I did it at the beginning. I was like, well, why was her parents letting her party? Now, I don't think that made it okay. But I definitely thought about it. This election, Let's say it again for the people in the back. Okay. All right. Those are those notes. I'm sorry, y'all. You know, these notes got out of order. Okay, I think. Okay. So then we meet 3 victims, Danielle, Jordan, and Janet. Their stories are very similar, so I'm not going to make a differentiation between their 3 stories. Their stories are very similar. All 3 of them were from, like, small towns. One was from West Virginia. One was from where was she from? Up north, like somewhere up in New England. The other one was from, like, it was in, like, the Midwest or whatever, but no major cities, right? And all of their stories are pretty much the same. The Girls Gone Wild van was coming to town, and they usually went to, like, the strip clubs or, you know, the clubs or whatever. They would park outside, and y'all know they would recruit, right? So the one girl talked about how she was recruited. She was at the club, and, you know, she got recruited to get on the bus. And she talked about how her brother was outside, like, banging on the door for her to come out, and how they wouldn't. She said that the cameraman would position himself in a way where he was standing in front of the exit. Like, he never said, no, you can't leave, but he literally was standing in front of the door for her to leave. And even when her brother was outside knocking on the door, they were like, oh, nah, we'll be out. You know, you'll be done in a minute. You'll be done in a minute. Don't worry about that. You'll be done in a minute. Another girl was telling a story about her and her friend. It was the 2 of them together. They had just turned 18. So they went to the club, and they were at the strip club. She said they were at the strip club, and it was like amateur night or whatever. So she was like, her and her friend, they agreed that they would go topless. They would, you know, they would do it. She explained that it was like this thing where they could go in and they could dance and they could get as naked as they wanted. And she said her and her friend decided we would do topless, but they wouldn't do anything more. You know, young girls, whatever. No, they weren't. They weren't. They were not. They definitely didn't want no black girls. So she talked about how her and her friend ended up on the bus. And then the third victim, she didn't even show her face. She didn't even show her face. So yeah, he mainly recruited white women. That was his idea of beauty: white, blonde, skinny, young. I was saying that earlier that this is an example of racism working in our favor. Because I'm not saying there were no black girls involved, but the majority of the girls involved, there were no black girls in this documentary. Women, they're women now. So, the jurors, I don't know. They didn't get into that. They just said they were all women. I don't think they got into all of that. But Panama City, Florida, I think the odds, and in 2002, 2003, the odds are that they were probably, I would say 95 to 100% white, I would say. So their stories were very similar. They were all drunk. They all were coerced onto the bus. This is called the Girls Gone Wild documentary. It's on Peacock. They were all coerced onto the bus. And so here's where I told you guys at the beginning, I kind of was like, I absolutely understand that when you're drunk, you don't have the consciousness to give consent. And I'm not talking about the underage ones at all. And I understand, again, if we go into our time machine, I understand that in the late 1990s, early 2000s, none of us could wrap our brain around the concept of the world that we live in today, where everything is viral, nothing goes away, people are constantly on their phone, people are constantly recording everything, and people are constantly posting us in our most embarrassing moments and all of that. I get that. But in early 2000s, late 1990s, girls weren't, that concept wasn't in their mindset, right? And so what a lot of them are saying is, listen, we get it. We were 18. We were dumb. We lifted up our boobs. They were like, but fast forward to now, like, we're mothers. Like, one girl talked about how this guy she was dating, his father actually had her screenshot a picture of her on his phone. Like, when she met him for the first time, he was like, hey, you're the Girls Gone Wild girl. Right here, right? One girl talked about, now this one I was like, ooh. One girl talked about how she did, show her boobs. But when you actually watch the video was basically soft porn. And she was like, I'm not in any of that. So I'm on the box cover, but then when you get the video, you're actually looking at basically soft core, and I never knew that either. I thought it literally was just because I never watched any of those videos. It's nothing that ever intrigued me about Girls Gone Wild. I remember, vividly, but I never watched any of the videos. I didn't know that it was actual like scenes of girl on girl action. I didn't know that. I literally thought it was just a 90-minute video of girls showing their boobs. That's really what I thought. And so she was like, literally you could see me on the front of the box, and then you watch the box and it's like literally porn. So I understand where a lot of these girls are coming from, but the flip side is you were over 18 and you gave because he started getting smart. They actually was signing consent on camera. They were actually checking ID on camera. They were actually asking people, are you drunk? Are you intoxicated? Do you understand? Do you understand what you're signing? Do you give consent? And don't get me wrong, you guys, I get it. Don't yell at me. I get it. So anyway, let me go through my notes. So for the civil case, hold on, let me go through my notes. Oh shoot. Because I jumped ahead a little bit. Let me make sure I said everything I want to say. Block the exit. They didn't take no for an answer. Oh, so on one of his depositions, the attorney asked him, basically, doesn't know me no, or when a girl says no, and he was like, well, it depends on the no. He was like, sometimes no doesn't mean no. All the time no means no. And they actually played training tapes where you could hear the cameraman being trained on how to not take no for an answer. They would train them on how to, right, no is absolutely a complete sentence. It is a subject and a verb. But they would talk, he talked about that, how no didn't mean no. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go through my, okay, cameraman trained, I just said that, okay. Joe never took any responsibility. He was accused of touching the girls without consent, trying to kiss the girls without consent. He just walked around like he could do whatever he wanted to do. There was a writer who accused him of assaulting her. She was interviewing a woman who said that he forced her to have sex with him. She did file a police report, but the charges didn't go anywhere. In the first civil case, the first civil case that was filed after Panama City, he did have to settle. Let me tell you why he did have to settle that. Because his attorney told him, we're going to go to this meeting. You're going to listen. They're going to make a demand. You're going to listen to their demand. We're going to decline it, and we're going to leave the meeting. He was like, don't worry about it. But at least we can go back to the judge and say, hey, we heard what they had to say. We're not going to settle. We're going to go to trial. Well, Joe Francis and his arrogant ass, he walks up in the conference room. He puts his feet up on the desk. And he tells, they make their offer. And when they make their offer, he tells them to suck his, you know what. The judge found him in contempt and forced him to settle that case. So that first one he had to settle because of him. The second one was the 4 girls that I already told you guys about. I sort of jumped ahead. Okay. 30 minutes. Okay. All right, I went through these. My notes are out of order, y'all. Okay, got that. All right. Okay. Now, we're in part 3. Part 3 is where it starts getting into all of his legal issues, okay? He was held in contempt, and he was put in jail down in Florida. While he was in jail in Florida, New Jersey, I wrote New Jersey, but I think it was Las Vegas. But New Jersey filed a case against him for not paying his taxes. He eventually gets out of jail, and he goes on a press tour. Like I said, it starts getting crazy in part 3. They just start talking about all his legal issues. He goes on a press tour, and in some of his interviews, he actually compared himself to Jesus and Nelson Mandela. Ironically, when he was on Tyra Banks' show, that's when he compared himself to Nelson Mandela. And Tyra Banks was like, whoa. I don't think you can compare apartheid to girls flashing their boobs. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. In 2008, he came out with a magazine. But by this time, the internet is now changing the landscape, and he has to switch up his business model, right? So he starts selling merch. Up until that point, merch was something you had to kind of, it was given to you, or the girls got it, as part of their compensation. But he created a reality show where basically he's looking for, girls gone wild, right? The third season winner was a girl by the name of Abby. She became his girlfriend. Mind you, when she won, she was 18 years old. He was 35. So she was the winner. They started dating. He became her girlfriend. We're gonna get that's important later. Okay. We almost done. He also came out with Guys Gone Wild. Now, Guys Gone Wild is different than Girls Gone Wild because guys, unlike girls, girls, unlike guys, can fake it, right? Guys can't fake it if they want to get the money shot. So it was a lot harder to get the guys to perform for the PORN part of it. Getting guys to flash their junk, not so hard. But getting them to actually be able to, self-pleasure. Also, girl on girl action is hot, right? Don't nobody, it wasn't the same. We're trying to get guys on guys. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know where I'm going. It's different. It's different, okay? By this time, they said he was partying too hard. He started cutting corners. He wasn't paying people. People were quitting left and right. There was an incident with a Playboy model where she threw a drink on him and he proceeded to physically assault her. Come to find out, she was defending Abby. Abby's the girlfriend that won the reality show because he had done something to Abby and she was retaliating. And that was actually caught on video. They showed the video of that. Nothing ever came of that. Various women filed lawsuits against him, including his own mother. His mother actually filed a restraining order against him where allegedly there was an incident where he assaulted his sister and put his hands on his mother as well. And then later on, there was an email that he sent his mother where, and this is a quote, where he said, "Are you dead yet? I cannot wait until you die." That's his mama. Solo, that was her name, Solo. So the civil trial that I told you about, the second one with the 4 girls, that was in 2011. He won that case. Now, here is where, oh shit, what did I just do? Sorry, y'all. I kicked myself out of my own app. Hold on. Oh, I'm still here. Oh, I thought I had kicked myself out. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. Can y'all see me now? Y'all can see and hear me now. My bad. I thought I had kicked myself out. My bad. I don't know. The screen, my screen, it was gone. So I thought I had kicked myself out. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Can y'all see me? Is that Abby texting me? Oh, okay. Okay, y'all can see me, hear me. Okay. My bad, Cage. I thought I was gone. I'm glad I ain't do nothing crazy. I'm glad I ain't say nothing crazy. I was like, damn, I thought I had logged myself off. Okay. So finally, yeah, I never left, but I thought I did because my screen was gone. So finally, Joe Francis ran into a bigger pit bull than him. A man by the name of Steve Wynn. Those who don't know who Steve Wynn is the billionaire who built the casinos out in Las Vegas, among other places. The Wynn, and he's Encore, and then he's got the Palladium, I think, is his as well. Shut up. Hold on, y'all. So, yes, Steve Wynn from Vegas. Yep, Steve Wynn. He owed Steve Wynn money from gambling at the casino. And instead of paying Steve his money, basically Steve ended up having to sue him. Now, I know in retrospect, he wished he had just paid this man his money, right? But instead of paying him, and I'm sure Steve asked many times before he filed a lawsuit. So he ended up filing a lawsuit and suing him. And instead of Joe Francis paying the man the money he owed him, he, in his response, he said that Steve Wynn was a cheater, that he didn't really owe him the money that he said he owed him, that whatever system he was using was basically robbing his heavy rollers, his high rollers, and accusing the man of basically being a cheat. Well, Steve Francis's lawyer told him, you shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. So Steve Wynn sued him for slander, and he won a $10 million judgment. And this is the beginning of the end, because he immediately, I want to say, I wrote in my notes $40 million, but I think it was 10, but child, at this point, he immediately filed bankruptcy. And Steve Wynn, y'all know how Cardi is going after her $4 million from Tasha K? Baby, that's how Steve Wynn was going after that money from Joe Francis. Like, he sees all of the stock for Girls Gone Wild. He sees all of his like, he sees everything. He was gonna get his money. Okay. So at the same time, Steve Francis was arrested for assault again. And he was actually convicted. And that's where he got the 200 days, where we started the documentary, where he was convicted of the 200 days in jail. Well, he appealed it. And while he was out on appeal, that's when he fled to Mexico with Abby, his on-again, off-again girlfriend, Abby. Now, they had gone to couples therapy. Y'all remember that reality show, Couples Therapy, that used to come on, I think like VH1 or MTV or something. They were on couples therapy. But after couples therapy, baby, that's when they fled to Mexico. Okay. They fled to Mexico. They had 2 babies, 2 girls. Ironically enough, 2 girls. Fedora, I'm sorry. Listen. All these names. I'm sorry. I'm trying. It's a lot of names. Oh. Ironically, he has 2 girls. Now, he was in, they were living in Mexico for a couple of years. And then there was this tape that surfaced of Abby being basically a fight between the 2 of them. And you can see her yelling, I'm scared, please stop, please stop. It sounds like he's assaulting her, or he had been assaulting her. She eventually left Mexico with the 2 kids. She moved back to Oklahoma with her family. And then when she filed for custody, she said she accused him of assault, kidnapping, and rape, because she said that he wouldn't let her leave Mexico. Yeah, that tape is scary. If y'all listen to the documentary, that tape is scary. I mean, y'all watch the documentary. Y'all, I had to write this down. So y'all, I told y'all all along he was being interviewed. And he said, she asked him about the custody paperwork. And he said, it's all lies. It's all lies. He was like, you can't rape your partner. You can't rape your wife. The lady interviewing him was like, you absolutely can. He was like, oh, you can? Oh, I didn't know that. Y'all, that's why I said this man, he doesn't even understand what he's saying is wrong. Who was in the Diddy documentary? Abby? Abby was in the Diddy documentary. Y'all know I never watched it, right? Amber, for real? She even asked him, well, now that you have daughters, do you feel differently about the Girls Gone Wild? He was like, no. What she say about Diddy? So she was at the Diddy parties with Joe? Now, listen. Hold on. I'm about to give y'all some eye in the sky tea in a second. Hold on. I'm about to give y'all some eye in the sky tea. Give me a second. Because we almost done. When sued Trump too, but ended up in his administration. She was talking to Harvey about stuff that she had. Oh, you talking about the interviewer? I thought you were talking about Abby. Are you talking about Abby, or are you talking about the lady that interviewed him? His wife, his ex-wife, or the lady that interviewed him? Let me know, Amber, because we're almost done. He's been living in Mexico for 10 years, and while he was in Mexico, he has over 30 court cases. Hey, Ray, Happy New Year, boo. He has over 30 court cases while he's been living in Mexico. I don't know why Mexico ain't extradited his ass by now, because you would think they want to get rid of him, okay? Oh, the lady that interviewed. Okay, cool. Thank you. The Girls Gone Wild archive has been purchased by Internet PORN company, which means that unfortunately for those women, those videos are going to last forever because now they're online. And I'm sure you could probably pull them up on any PORN site. Okay. So the eye in the top, the eye in the sky tea. Y'all ready? Can y'all hear me? So for the eye in the sky tea, remember a couple of months ago, we talked about when Joe Francis allegedly got beat up down to the Mexico? Allegedly, there is a direct connection between Joe Francis. I need y'all to hear these names as I read them off. Joe Francis, Kim Kardashian, and let's just say the Kardashians. Ray J, and Diddy. Now, I don't know how all the dots connect, but allegedly there are some dots there that connect amongst them people. Now, the Kardashians are all up and through the documentary. Okay? The Kardashians and Kim at one point in time even said that he was her best friend. And remember, she used to go, if you ever watched the Kardashians, she used to go to his house in Mexico all the time. As much as I hate to admit, I have watched episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians back in the day. Not now, but like in the earlier years. Yep. That's why I said there's a bigger reason why Joe Francis left this country and ain't trying to ever come back. Because the reality of the situation is he had less than a year to serve in a county jail, which he probably would have only served a couple of months, and they probably would have reduced that. You know what I mean? Like he got away with everything else. And you mean to tell me that's what made you leave the country? That's what made you leave the country? And you were out on bail pending appeal, which means you could have been out on bail for like a year and a half. Right, Candace? Chris and Kim consulted with Joe Francis about the tape. And she would always say Joe was a friend. And he even called into the show. Yeah, he called in from jail. He called in from jail one time. They showed that on the documentary. But I remember her going to his house in Mexico. And again, I knew he had a house in Mexico. I didn't know he was in exile. I didn't know he had fled the country. So anyway, y'all, that is the Girls Gone Wild documentary. It is, y'all know, as always, I gave y'all the cliff notes. Please, you can go watch it. It's 3 episodes on Peacock. If you already have Peacock, it is. I think it's a really good documentary. I think it is a really, really good documentary. It's sad though because it just shows how disposable young girls are in this country. You know, just how disposable we are in this country. When you look at all of those lawsuits that kept getting dismissed or thrown out, even the criminal ones, where it was blatant, this man literally had girls who were underage. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They had him dead to rights, and somehow he kept getting out of it. Money and privilege, white privilege. And again, like I said at the beginning of this is one of those examples of where racism worked in our favor. Okay? Racism worked in our favor. You know why racism worked in our favor? Because he wasn't looking at us as his idea of beautiful. And he says it throughout the documentary of his vision of what beautiful was. They even talked about, and I forgot to say this part, if a girl was with her friend, and, you know, it was easy to try to get, you know, a girl would say, well, if she does it, I'll do it kind of thing. But if the friend wasn't, you know, their idea of what beautiful was, they would either cut the friend out Or they would pretend to film the friend just to get the pretty girl to do it. Yeah, nasty work. Anyway, but it's definitely a good, again, I gave y'all the cliff notes. It's worth a view if you have Peacock. I'm not saying go out and get Peacock, but if you already have Peacock, it's definitely worth the view. Yeah, we talked about Sims. Wasn't that sad? The father that died? Yep. And the guilt that that girl carries with her. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? But yeah. Abby, you know, child, Abby said, I still don't know why ain't nobody beat this man up. I'm with you on that one. Like, these girls didn't have no... Now, the one brother, they said he was outside banging on the door. I just don't know. Yeah, I'm going to just leave that there. I don't know the answer I got. I just know what my brother would have done. That's all I'm going to say about that. Y'all, let me get some tea. Child, I went to let me get some tea and some cough drops and stop talking. I thought I was good enough to get through this, but as y'all can see, I'm struggling. But I will talk to y'all later. I'm about to get up off of here. Happy New Year again to everybody. And we'll get into it. Talk to y'all later, y'all. Peace.